All around the world, people suffer from various diseases and dysfunctions, such as cancer, blindness, Alzheimer's, and others. But recently, scientists from top universities and research facilities have found a way that they can actually cure these diseases by way of stem cell engineering. Stem cells can be described as primitive cells that exist within the human body, and by taking them out of the human body, re-engineering them into different parts, they can put them back in and cure life-threatening diseases. A woman named Carol Franz was one of the first recipients of an adult stem cell transplant in May 2003. She had multiple myeloma, which is also known as bone marrow cancer. What it does is, when it attacks your bones, it creates holes in the bone marrow, which makes so your bones become even weaker and you are more susceptible to damage. Once they used chemotherapy and destroyed her immune system, the doctors at Syracuse Upstate Medical Hospital gave her cells that were transplanted from her own blood back into her bone marrow, which established a new cancer-free immune system. To understand the stem cells, first we'll look at how they are made and changed, and then look at the pros and cons of utilization and the implications. So, this right here, this is a stem cell. It's a very primitive cell. It has the ability to self-replicate itself, and it can also fight cell apoptosis, which is cell death in the body. So when it's put back into the body, it can reduce inflammation in bones and differentiate itself into bone tissue, cartilage tissue, fat tissue, and muscle tissue. The way they do this, once they take a sample out of the body, they put it into a petri dish where cultures thrive and create stem cells that differentiate themselves automatically. So once the cells are moved into a person via bone, muscle, or blood, cells can be grown into organ tissue and other vitals. Some of the advantages is this is a naturally reoccurring process in humans, meaning that this has no impact upon human life as we do it every single day. This could be potentially quick procedures in hospitals, and it can help large amounts of people at once. Some of the disadvantages is in the United States and around the world, this is surrounded by controversy as to whether or not it is ethical to actually have these procedures. It's very experimental and undeveloped, and likely not all people will be able to reach or afford it. Some of the implications, scientists don't need to look to other medical sources, as the body itself will produce the needed cells. Since cells naturally reproduce, there are no real limits on the research scientists can achieve. Cells might become replacements for organs in the human body, and many cells are not yet identified, so not all supposed cures will actually work. So, cells in the human body can be made into different organs, but because of the way that they can replace organs, it might actually mean that they can also expand the human lifespan past 100 years. Scientists think they can expand the lifespan to almost 300 years by using this. So now that we've seen what cells are and what they can do, and what the pros and cons of their use and alteration and their implications, I want to focus more on what Carol Franz had to go through. So in the beginning of her cancer, she would wake up every morning feeling pain all over her body. She had to go through every day using special devices designed only to transport her from place to place. In about the 5th week of her cancer, she was unable to walk without extreme pain. When she was transported to the medical hospital, doctors said that she had very little chance to live. When they took the blood out of her to look at what was happening, they saw that the cells were actually transforming on their own already. So they kept them in the dish and let them thrive in a heat-derived source. After about a week, when Carol Franz was put back into a stable condition, they found that the blood cells were creating their own immune system within the petri dish. So in the next week of the procedure, they decided to go ahead and put the cells back into her bone marrows and just see what happened. In about a week, she made a complete recovery from the cancer. So millions of people around the world are suffering from these diseases and can be cured by potentially even their own cells within their body. but only some can actually afford and get it. So I hope that you are now interested in learning more about stem cells and are able to want to help in getting people to be able to get these.